Carian. We've lost her, but we'll bring her back. And Lauren Roots.
Hello.
Hello. So today we're going to explore the history and importance of Juneteenth. And we were having a little conversation in the green room about this event, this celebration is something a lot of people don't know about. So we're going to discuss that in today's segment. And I'd like my folks to introduce themselves and tell me a little fun fact about them. So since we can see you, Lauren, I'll have you go first. Oh, there's Carian. All right, Lauren, go ahead.
Okay. So good afternoon. My name is Lauren Roots, and I'm a library associate for the Oxon Hill branch. I have a degree in English literature, and formerly, I worked as both an informal librarian for a public charter school and a special educator.
Great. And your fun fact?
I used to write scripts for puppet show performances that I was given permission to put on at the library that was close to my house when I was little.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. You're already in the trades before you knew it. Carian, tell us your title, what you do, and a little fun fact.
Okay, I'm Carian Gray. I always tell people I'm Carian the librarian because it's easy to help them remember how to pronounce my name. I am the Adult and Senior Services Specialist for Prince George's County Memorial Library System. I will have been in the system, oh my goodness, in July it will be 10 years. I have done a little bit of everything. So I love my library. And the fun fact about me is I have done some stand-up comedy, and I have also done some background work in acting. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I can see where that drama plays in. So can you both help us understand what is Juneteenth? And why? Carian, let's start with you.
Okay, Juneteenth is really the true emancipation, celebrating the true emancipation of Black people in the U.S. There was something called the Emancipation Proclamation. However, word didn't get all the way out to all of the Confederate states. So Juneteenth specifically celebrates and recognizes Texas. So 2.5 years later, that's when they were notified of their freedom. So it is the celebration kind of nationally of, the emancipation of slavery in the U.S.
Okay. And Laura, did you want to add anything to that?
I think Carian did a great job. I can just, I can say what I feel like we celebrate it now as kind of an affirmation to remind ourselves of who we are and where we've come from, what we've gone through, as well as what we push through, and kind of those endless possibilities for our future.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. You said what we push through, because I think there's a really important intersection between Juneteenth and the Black Lives Matter movement, and the community's efforts to acknowledge and work against the racism and violence experienced by Black Americans. So could you elaborate a little bit about that intersection and why this is even more timely than ever this year?
I
know, big question.
Yeah. Carian, maybe you can help me out a little bit as I'm trying to gather my thoughts to really explain it.
I'll tell you, for me, I just honestly feel like the two are just tied together. It is so important that we celebrate, like, to think about people who almost like have to reconstruct themselves and build themselves in America without any kind of financial. So when you hear the terms of systemic racism and everything else like that, like what was done for the people, even the simple fact that 2.5 years after the government, Emancipation Proclamation, we are free. Now what? You're on a plantation. What do you do? How do you gather yourselves? How do you go on? How do you move from that? So it's important that we celebrate and acknowledge it, you know. And I know we kind of talked off screen about it, but for myself, I didn't even know what Juneteenth was as a Black person. And a lot of times we as Black people have to go out and like really find and study our own history because we're not taught in school. Mm-hmm. So I think it is just important to highlight and to have that acknowledgement about it. It runs, and there's a lot of controversy over Black Lives Movement because you have Black Lives Matter, the organization, and you just have simply the statement Black Lives Matter. You know, and the thing about it is it's not dissing anybody else, but when you take a people, you know what I'm saying, who's been persecuted and oppressed over and over again, we have to stand and say that, because until we end systemic racism. So I know that's a mouthful, Lauren.
Yeah.
So I'll pass the mic to you.
That was fantastic. No, and I definitely agree. I also think that it's important, as we're pushing through the things that are happening now, it is so important to be able to reflect back on those things that were happening then, and the people who helped us get to where we are now is so important to reflect on as well. So I think that's about as much as I can add, because I think, Carian, that was the best way to put it.
Yeah, and I think you know, there is some, you know, understandably so, some reluctance to celebrate right now. But I think, you know, the library has prepared, thanks to you all and your team, this fantastic lineup of programs that will really help people to do just that. And I think Eric Thomas, who was one of our authors this month for Pride, said something that was really resonated with me. He said, hope is a practice. So I think, you know, feeling that you need to get up and have some hope is really imperative, especially with COVID and everything else, Black Lives Matter movement, everything else that's happening that's isolating us. So when you led the library's efforts to commemorate Juneteenth, what were your goals?
My goals, and I think you have to put it in a perspective of the libraries and what we do and our mission.
Sure.
Our what we foremost want to do is we want to educate and we want to inform. We want to highlight the free access to information. So, I mean, I think that goes crosses even Juneteenth as far as voting, civil rights. If you really want to learn about the issues, the one thing that we do so well is giving you that access to that free information. So, and I also, for me, it's important as being in the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I wanted to hear the community. I think everybody kind of wants to hear. So we had early on, we had Melvin Jackson Jr. Shout out to LaDonna. I know she's in here somewhere. She's multitasking, but she got him, who is a Prince George's native. He went to Fairmont High School. He's an Emmy-nominated actor. And I think we want to hear the voices. We want to hear what our people think. We want to be connected, you know, being so close, you know, a whisper from the White House. You know, I think we want to make sure that we're on par, that we're relevant. I mean, even through the pandemic of it all, you know, I think anybody who's really risking their life and putting their life in jeopardy to protest or anything else like that definitely want to have access to information. Definitely wants to do that. So we do just such a great job of making it free and accessible to everyone. So that was kind of like our major goals. We wanted to make sure we hit every piece of it. And I just want to say, like, we have such a great team at PGCMLS. A lot of this was done remotely. So technical issues, everything else like that. We have an excellent digital services team who really worked on that page and really just made it look crisp. We had researchers from the Sojourner Truth Room and Oxley Hill who gathered information. So this really was a collaborative, venture for us. But we just felt like it was so important. How can you not celebrate Juneteenth right now and understand that it's significant, you know?
And Lauren, so that's great. tell us you work at Oxon Hill, so tell everybody about the Truth Room. And I know that our foundation is sponsoring the Authors for Truth series. We had Dr. Richard Bell on, who talked about his book Stolen, which was Reverse Underground Railroad. Again, something I never learned in school. So tell us a little bit about the Truth Room and kind of how that marries with what we're talking about today.
Sure. So right now, our Truth Room contains quite a few rare book resources for, I would say it's more so research-based or for research purposes. But we are working to get more books for people to also be able to check out. And that was happening some months before COVID started, and I'm hoping that we'll continue to do that as well.
Yeah, great. That's awesome. What's highlighted on the Juneteenth webpage?
Okay. Do you want to do
it? Not me.
Okay.
Well, you
okay. So it's so much, and like I said, it's a collaborative effort. So when you log on to our page, what you will see is a carousel of different biographical information from different leaders in Black history, or even now. I made sure that we had people who were Maryland residents or Maryland natives on there, and all of that information can be Gale Virtual Library, biography and context. Just a free resource for all of those that are tuned in. I hope you scurry on over to check out our online resources. We also give a summary about Juneteenth, the celebrations and the traditions. Those resources were highlighted through the American Mosaic African American Experience. We also have videos from staff and the public on why celebrating Juneteenth was important to them. Additionally, we have, of course, we're going to give you Reader's Advisory. We're going to have some book suggestions there for you. We're going to have Elizabeth Ajunwa did an awesome Canopy watch list and even included some movie and TV titles in there that's not on Canopy. So everything to get our brains and a conversation going and stimulated. And those are just some of the features, you got to see it for yourself. You got to check it out. But it's really comprehensive. Shout out again to Brian for working on that.
Yeah, he's a rock star. What programs are coming up tomorrow? Because tomorrow is actually Juneteenth, correct? The 19th.
Yes. Tomorrow is Juneteenth, so we are doing it for the kids tomorrow for Juneteenth. We have Culture Queen, which she will be doing, and she's awesome. She's been around doing Busboys and Poets gigs. I've seen her in the branches when we were in person, but she is doing a Jubilee for the kids, music, song. She has fresh original stuff. She has an awesome website as well. I encourage everyone to check it out if you're looking for information. And we're so happy that she was able to provide us with story time. So check it out tomorrow, and that's going to be at 10:30. And I did see Steve help me out, but also there is a lecture from C.R. Gibbs too on the website, on our Juneteenth page, where he gives a lecture on Juneteenth.
Yeah, and we're getting lots of things in the chat. Registration. There is a link on Web Junction on race, equity, and diversity. So there is a plethora of places to engage, both virtually, so we can connect like this, and also, through our webpage with resources. So what books or movies or documentaries do you recommend for folks who are trying to learn more about Juneteenth?
I will say, because I'm giving Lauren time, because Lauren is also Lauren is also on some viewers advisory and readers advisory that we've had. But I will personally say, if you have not checked out I Am Not Your Negro, do so. That is free on Canopy. And we were talking about this. because it's a celebration, and I'm a lover of poetry, check out some Maya Angelou. I think it's important I know we're all filling our head with other news outlets and everything at this time while we go through this civil unrest, but there's so much prose and listening to the narratives of the different people who've gone from slavery. Me and Lauren worked on Daughters of the Dust watch party on Twitter yesterday, and Daughters of the Dust talks about that. Like, they talk about the different generations and which is free on Canopy. So I know if anybody's making decisions, they don't have cable or they don't have anything else like that, Canopy is the bomb. Check it out. And once again, I have to say it's for free, so, and you
the
can't be free.
Criterion collection. And the Criterion
Yes, the
collection.
Criterion. So go ahead, take it away, Lauren.
Oh no, you're gonna put me on the spot. So when I heard the question initially, I tried to find some that were specific for Juneteenth. There are some children's literature, or there is some children's literature on Juneteenth, but there's not as much for adults, I would say, or not that I could find. However, if you're interested in books, documentaries, or films that are centered on Black culture or a Black experience, then I do have a few books and films, so I'll share those. So Their Eyes Were Watching God, or Dust Tracks on the Road by Zora Neale Hurston. If Beale Street Could Talk, both the film and the book by James Baldwin. I know we already have a shout out to James out there. The Last Black Man in San Francisco. I'm going to keep pushing that film because it's amazing. And that is also available to you on Canopy. Bamboozled is another film. Polly is a children's film, so that's very family friendly. You all can watch that together, and I love it. I believe it is a beautiful celebration of Black people. The Men We Reaped by Jessamine Ward is another really great one. Yeah. And Stamped by Ibram X. Kendi with Jason Reynolds, if you're looking more so for teen works, or you can read Stamped from the Beginning, which is the adult version. And then finally, I have some sci-fi titles for you all, because I believe it's very important for us to be present in sci-fi. So I have The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, The Parable of the Sower, or Parable of the Talents by Octavia Butler. And then I'm going to go back to realistic fiction for you all. And this one is a great one for anyone with children, juvenile specifically, I'd say middle grade. So this one is called Black Brother, and it's by Joel Parker Rhodes.
Wow, we have some well-read folks. Absolutely. That's great.
Hi, everyone. Sorry to jump in real quick. We weren't able to get LaDonna on directly in Crowdcast, but we want to make sure that she said hi. And she's here.
Hi, LaDonna.
LaDonna, can you all hear LaDonna?
Yeah.
Hello.
We can see her. Oh, there she goes.
You can ask your question.
It was hard to hear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He looks great.
I want to just shout out LaDonna. We can't really hear you, LaDonna, but I want to thank LaDonna for the work that she's done as far as getting us Melvin Jackson Jr. And I know she's working on tons of different things. Like I said, and I just want to piggyback that it is really important. And I stand behind County Executive Angela also Brooks with the whole Prince George's Proud movement. We have people making Black history every day in Prince George's County. So I want to salute and shout out that. And I think it's important that we tell those stories and do things like that. So, and I know she had a lot hand in with the Dream Lab at the Fairmont Heights branch. So shout out to the Dream Lab when we get that up and we're back in person. And I'm gonna steal Roberta's lines when we can. Right now we're virtually hugging everyone right now, but I just the access to resources that we have from even people who writing their books and taking it to creation. I just want to salute, shout out to LaDonna for that. So yeah.
You did a phenomenal job with that interview. It was fantastic. It was so good.
You.
Thank you. And, I just want to say thank you to you guys for even letting me use not only what I've learned in the library system, but what I've been able to properly bring. And you guys are allowing me to have my creativity, be out the box, to enrich, just to basically be able to, I always want PGCMLS to be the bomb. I want us, I didn't say y'all, I said us, to be on top, and I want us to be the innovators so that everybody else will copy what we do. And so whatever I can do, I say that we're a team, guys. We're like Voltron. Each one of us has something awesome. No one think they're any better or lesser. We all have something to offer. And when we come together and bring them scripts, PGCMLS is the bomb.com. Like, nobody can touch us. And so,
bomb.info.
Bomb.info, right.
Okay, the bomb.com, you kind of like ruined my whole... Even Roberta, I wanted to say to you too, I was thinking about this when I was getting dressed, just to kind of like encourage you a little bit. I want to say thank you. I knew that you weren't going to have certain issues with you once I saw you letting your hair down and getting your groove on and just having fun and just enjoying life. And I said, somebody who can enjoy life on a personal level can definitely bring some new flavor, some new spice. So I thank you for being down to earth and for just being real and just helping out. And I'm seeing so many of these Carian, everybody across the board. Like, I can go and call out so much staff, but I just want to say, we're a team, guys. We got this. We're going to do it. Now, I hope y'all heard that.
Thank you. We did.
Yes, we heard you.
So, and it's really important too that, I see a lot of staff members on, but community members as well, is that, as a system, as an institution, PGCMLS is going to be really examining our role in systemic racism. So how do we take a deep dive internally with our practices and policies, with staff and customers, and we'll be forming an equity, diversity, inclusion team. And so it's really important for everybody to start doing some self-reflection, especially people who look like me. And to really start thinking about how, as a team and as an organization, we do what's right internally so that we can start helping externally. It's really important for us to make sure we start to move the needle. And one of the ways we're doing that, in addition to forming an EDI team, is programs like the Elephant We Don't See in the Room, which is a diversity dialogue that we're starting to have with Kyla Hannington from the Human Rights Commission and our own Michelle Hamiel. So it's about getting in the room and having the difficult conversations, peeling back the layers to see where we are. We all have bias. So I think it's really important that we start thinking about this. Also, we're going to have a book discussion on June 30th of How to Be an Anti-Racist, which is Dr. Kendi's book. Is trying to give people the information and the knowledge they need to start having these conversations, to really start to dig down into the research. All three of us on this panel said Juneteenth. We didn't know what that was. And then we started digging in and we was like, oh my gosh, this is important. This is significant. So not only knowing your own history, but knowing the history of the people who you support in the community, right? So this will be a good segue for us to see if there's any questions from the viewers about Juneteenth, about the library programming that we're doing around diversity. We are happy to answer whatever you can dish up.
Okay. While they're coming up with their questions, I just want to highlight two programs going on tonight, because there's no party like a PGCMLS party, because we have tonight we have a readers advisory, which is more like a discussion, and we're going to be talking about the undefeated. That's at 7:00. So definitely tune into that. That's going to be led by Jade Campbell and some other people within the system. I saw Daniel in the room. He's on that. Kanisha's on that. So Elizabeth, it's a shout out. So please tune into that. We also have at 8 o'clock, we have a re-air of, if you're looking for more titles, because I know Lauren can go on and on and on. We do have an advisory on anti-racism and social justice. So, like, just to reiterate, we're here to support. We're here to fill in those gaps as far as, education is concerned, for your continuing education, and to give you all the reliable information you need, So, if it's coming from the library, it's some good stuff.
Absolutely. It's going to be authentic. Yeah.
LaDonna, do you have anything you want to cover before we let you get back to your other project right now?
I was going to say one thing, just kind of piggybacking on what Carian said about the resources. If there's something that we don't have or that we may, not be aware of, the thing that I really do like about PGCMLS is that we're open and receptive to suggestions. And if it makes sense, we go ahead and handle it. So I think that, just with the array of just resources and supplies and just access to things that we have across the board, it's like, why would you not want to chill at the library? Why would you not think the library is the cool place or the cool hangout? We've been doing it when we were kids. So now I think that we reintroducing the world, especially the younger generation, to the coolness of the library. I think that's what's going to help with the sustainability of us. And, it's just going to be some things that happen. The programs I'm watching across the board, and just the creativity, like I'm looking at it like, wow, this is all internally. And just really quickly, what Roberta was saying about how do we tap into internally. I mean, we just got to listen to each other and not be afraid to share, and understand that we do have lives outside of the library, that we may have something that we can bring into the system. And so I think if we start from the inside out, we're going to be, the bomb.info for Nick.
Thank you. Cool. Well, thanks, LaDonna. We'll see you in the chat if you're able to hang on there. I'm sorry about the tech.
Yeah, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So is there something, you'd want to ask community members? How can they honor and respect the importance of Juneteenth and Black history and culture year round? So one of the things the library is doing is, we don't want to have a Women's in History Month. We don't want to have a Black History Month. We want to be celebrating people all year in many forms, no matter what. We have more programs for Pride this month, but we want to celebrate all year, right? And we don't want to just celebrate Black history in February. We want to do it all year. So what can people do in the community to honor and respect this important occasion?
I think people can start with educating themselves. Even myself, reading about other cultures or other people who aren't like yourself, trying to identify with other people's struggle. I think about the civil rights movement and how much that helped more than just Black people, So I think educating yourself, being knowledgeable, and that inclusive part, you know what I'm saying? Making sure everyone is checking their privilege at the door. You know what I'm saying? And let everyone speak. Let everyone have a voice. It shouldn't be like, oh, we have this Black book section and this, that, and the third. We have everything for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And encouraging that, supporting everyone from the local authors to, people who have the major publishing, deals. So I think it's that's some kind of the support. I as the adult and senior services specialist, I'm trying to make sure that we have ways to help people who fall into the digital literacy gap. One of my either through access, they don't have access to online, and think about how crucial we all know online access is after the pandemic. So we're trying to work on things where we're getting programs uploaded to our phone system. We're working on tech for that. I do a books by mail program, which will resume when we get into phase 1. So I think looking at whatever platform that you have, if you can be inclusive, and what can you do within your mission? We know that the library's mission is education and information, but what can you do to help? And I think that's how everybody needs to work it, or start thinking about and having those real conversations even internally in your organization.
Mhm.
Do you feel supported? Is this a safe place?
Mhm.
Are your organization's leaders standing up and saying, we're not going to tolerate racism here? You know, if you come in with these preconceived notions and everything else like that, that's the door. I think that's a lot of the language that a lot of people are looking for. So things like that. I think those are the conversations.
Mhm.
Great.
We have
Do you have anything to add?
No, I definitely think being reflective at this time and moving forward is going to be the best thing that our communities can do for each other. Finding ways of uplifting one another will be another huge thing. And I mean, like I said, I think Carian, you take the words.
Well, I was in a workshop today and I liked the title. It was Resilience, Recovery, and Healing. So how do we build resilience? How do we, end this? And so recovery, I keep thinking of how do we end systemic racism? And then how do we heal from all the hurt and wounds that have been, especially when I look at your beautiful faces, thrust upon you? How do we help to heal? How we help you heal? So I really liked that kind of language. Was there any other questions, Nick, that we needed to address?
a couple suggestions that I'd love to throw out for your comments, everyone, from the folks tuning in. One was from Dan, who says, we need more print materials generally, especially about Black history and culture in the Dewey kind of sequence. Do you all have some thoughts on that?
I said that I agree. I think that we do see a large number of Black books found in the Sojourner Truth Room, but of course, a large quantity of those books are for reference mostly. And I think that we need to have more print materials that are accessible to our public, that they're able to check out, that they're able to read, that they're able to recheck out if that's something that they want to do. And I also know that as far as accessibility goes, I know that right now we're in a situation where it's harder to have print materials for folks and readily, but there are so many people who don't have access to computers and to wireless, and that print material is so important. So I wholeheartedly agree that we need to take that into consideration as we're moving forward.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately, just to kind of piggyback off of what Lauren said, like being with the library so long, like when I see people come in and everything else like that, that is so crucial. I think we take for granted, like I guess the access to the internet, people who coming in, they're rushing to print off their resumes, they're rushing to do this and that, and just the curve of learning, you know what I'm saying, how to use print, and even people who can't. That's where, I like to touch a lot of customers who no longer can access the library due to a disability or things like that. So we do have programs in place, such as the Books by Mail program. You can find that information on our site. You can send an email, a link in to outreach.services. You can send to that if you want information. So we're definitely trying to increase that. I think that's an ongoing thing. And I think we're definitely looking to hear from anybody, the public, who wants to add or something that they want. We do a really good job, like Lauren said, of getting that material in and once it's been requested. So
I think another thing that might be beneficial would be to look at the collections in each branch to see what's missing. And if the request is for more books by people of color, we need to find a way to assess what is in that collection and how can we add to it. So that I would just add that.
Yeah, it's definitely the more you tell us, and that's that community feedback loop, telling us what programs you need, what services you need, what books you need, what resources you need, because the library is about serving the community. So if there's something that we are not doing that you need to see, then that's where you just, pick up the phone or send an email or talk to one of these lovely staff members who are in our chat room and online here, and tell them, because it's really about, if we don't know, then we can't provide it. And we want to stop doing that. We want to start asking you on a regular basis, what do you need? We've sent out some surveys, and we've gotten great response on surveys. Even when we started this whole virtual platform, people were telling us what they needed. And so again, if there's something we're not doing, let us know, because we are more than happy with this talented staff to make it happen. So I appreciate that. I'm going to ask Nick if there's any other things that he would like to add promotional wise, because he's always telling me, don't forget to add this, don't forget to say this. But I know the ladies covered a lot of things that are happening for Juneteenth.
Cool. So I'm going to do one plug first from audio mode, and then I'm going to ask you all for the last plug, if that's okay. First plug is for Books from Birth. This is our amazing program for getting physical books into the hands of the young people in this county for them to keep and build a personal library. I'll come on camera just because this is silly. I'm going to come. There. Okay. Hi, everyone. So Books from Birth. A child can build a personal library of 60 books over the course of their first 5 years, which is tremendous. It's a partnership of the libraries with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library Foundation. And it is huge, 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 huge. We have a special new thing. You heard it here first. It's not fully out there yet, but for new registrants through August 31st, all new registrants will get a free copy of Ibram Kendi's Anti-Racist Baby board book, which just came out this week. So that is a huge deal. Check it out. Register at pgcmls.info/freebooks. And if you speak Spanish and would prefer a Spanish book, we have an option for you called Lluvia/Rain, which is a bilingual book that is really wonderful and recommended by our family literacy specialist, Pam. So please, 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 you can get an immediate important book right now, plus also build a library of up to 60 books. So you can get those at home until you're 5. So everyone, tell the people out there who are working on growing their families, and if you know anyone that works in healthcare, please let them know. What was that, Carian?
I'm 5. I'm just a big 5.
Awesome. So check that out.
Panelists get a free one.
pgcmls.info/freebooks. And then for Lauren and Carian, can you please tell everyone how to get involved with Summer at your library before we close?
Awesome.
Signing into Beanstack, I believe.
Yes. So if you go to our website, which is www. Did I say all the W's? pgcmls.info. And what you want to do is you want to log in. You will see the links to log into summer reading. Am I telling it right? Everybody? All right. And then you want to go ahead and register. And when you register, you get some. Oh, yeah, there it is. Thanks for the link. And you can register through Beanstack. Beanstack is awesome because it also gives you recommendations for what to read. Also, you get to follow along the cool map, and let me make sure I say this right. Co-sponsors, Washington Nationals, like the winning team. Come on now.
We're probably 2 years because this season's all messed up, so we win.
Yes. So I mean, it's fun for all ages. You get cool prizes. I'm gonna throw some stuff out there, t-shirts, everybody loves this library apparel that we have. So, that's major. We also have different little fun things from a lot of local, local franchises and all kinds of goodies coming soon. So, yeah. Somebody said a library scarf.
Yes, yeah.
So we're obviously a very jovial crowd in today's conversation. I thank you for your enthusiasm and spirit, and also all that you and your team did to really highlight the importance and history of Juneteenth, and to develop with our digital strategy group this wonderful resource page with activities and books and movies and everything. I was writing down all the things you were all saying for me to read and look at. So I got some work ahead of me. So thank you all. It's been a great conversation. And I just encourage everybody to talk about Juneteenth, tell those that don't know what it means, and let's start educating ourselves about all these important things that are a part of Black culture. So I thank you both, and I guess we'll wave out. Is that all right? Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Virtual hugs.